I used to think that I was the smartest person in every Overwatch lobby. Like, genuinely. Every loss, every bad match, I knew exactly who was responsible. My teammates. Always my dog shit teammates. And I would go to my friends and vent to them, and they would always tell me the same thing over and over again. Stop blaming your teammates. Look at yourself. And it would piss me off, because who are they to tell me that? You're not in these matches. I am. I am the one living this. But recently, as I've climbed out of gold into platinum and how I've made aspirations to try to get to diamond, I've realized that there's some truth to what they are saying. Here's the thing about blaming other people. A lot of times, it feels completely justified in the moment. It's not even about ego. It really is just our interpretation of what is happening to us in that moment. My supports weren't healing me. My tank wasn't holding space. My teammates are too busy typing in chat than actually playing the video game that they decided to install and start up for some reason. These are facts. These things happened. So why is it wrong to just call it what it is? But here's what I had to sit with myself and think about. The one thing that is the same in every match I've ever lost, every bad game, every frustrating lobby, was my terrible teammates. I mean, it was me, not my teammates. Me. I was the only constant. And that's not me being hard on myself. That's just what it is. And my friends would point that out to me. And my friends would always point that out to me. And the reason it made me so angry wasn't because they were wrong. Well, sometimes they're wrong, okay? But it was more about the fact that there's a part of me that already knew that there was some truth to what they were saying. I just didn't want to deal with it. It's so much easier to point outward and blame everything else and be the victim than to look inward and try to grow, admitting that you have work to do. The last thing that I want to do is have to admit to myself that I have to play more Overwatch. That's embarrassing. We throw around the term critical thinking all the time, especially online. Everybody thinks that they're an amazing critical thinker. Everyone thinks they're asking the real questions and they're seeing through everyone's bullshit. I've been thinking about this lately, and I don't think critical thinking is about questioning other people. It's very easy, actually, to question what other people say, question what articles are written online, or just create your own reality of what life is so that you don't have to deal with the shame that you're an idiot. However, I'm starting to think that real critical thinking is about questioning yourself, being able to sit with your own thoughts and ask, is this actually true? Or am I just saying this because I'm scared of being wrong? Am I holding this position because evidence supports it? Or because letting go of it would feel like losing? Because losing an argument, being wrong, having to say, yeah, you had a point, that honestly could feel like a threat to a lot of people, especially men. And I include myself in that. It triggers something. This defensive response that shows up as doubling down, deflecting, finding a technicality, doing anything to try to avoid with the discomfort that you may be wrong. Even though I'm still working on it, I think that that's what I do every time that I blame my teammates. I'm not being honest. I'm protecting myself because if it's their fault, I don't have to change. I just gotta wait for Blizzard to give me the winner's cue. And waiting for the world to change so that you don't have to is such a comfortable place for someone to be. But it's not a place where someone can grow. I'm not just talking about video games. I'm just using Overwatch because if I'm being honest, I'll use any excuse to talk about how dog shit my teammates are. But this pattern shows up everywhere. In relationships where you're always the one who's wronged. In friendships where every other person is the problem and everyone is out to get you. In your career when you're always being overlooked or undervalued through no fault of your own. In arguments where you never once considered that you might be the one who needs to grow. Sometimes your teammates are really that bad. Sometimes people really do wrong you. Sometimes the situation really isn't your fault. I am not telling people to take blame for everything. That will probably lead you to a life where your middle to old age is spent 60% of the time doing a fent lean. I'm saying be honest with yourself. At least ask the question, am I a part of this? What's my role here? What could I do differently? Why do I think the way I do? Because if you hold a position and when someone questions it, you don't have an answer to what they're saying, you just sit there stunned, you might be dying on a hill. Not all the time. Sometimes people just aren't good at arguing. That is true. But a lot of times I see way too many things where someone is asked a legitimate question critiquing their thought and have no response. And I just feel you got to have that same energy that you were holding so passionately about the position. You got to at least be able to defend it. In my life, the people who I've seen grow the most, the ones who achieve their goals and improve their lives, are not the ones who are always right. They're the ones willing to admit that they are a dumbass. They're the ones who can sit in the discomfort long enough to actually learn from it. You know, there's an old saying, you should surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you may actually be in the wrong room. That's harder than it sounds, especially when you built your identity around being the smart one, the capable one, the one who sees everything clearly, because then being wrong isn't just being wrong. It feels like a threat to who you are. You have an existential crisis. But here's what's on the other side of that. When I really take moments to stop blaming my teammates and look at what I can do better, I do improve. Not immediately, not perfectly. Growth is not a linear path, but I climb. And climbing from gold to plat was the proof that the discomfort was worth it. And in that process, you're gonna fail. Sometimes to a point to where you're gonna have to reassess everything. But the knowledge that you gain will help you 10 times more than any argument that you could have won. I'll leave this video off with this. The next time you find yourself in an argument or in a bad match or a frustrating situation and your first instinct is to immediately be defensive, try to pause for a second. Ask yourself, what is the one thing that is constant here? What is my role in this? How am I helping feed the situation be what it is? Is there something that I'm avoiding because it may be a little uncomfortable? You don't have to have the answer immediately. Hell, I still don't half the time. Just asking the question is further than a lot of people get. And if you're still watching this thinking, this doesn't apply to me, I really do just have bad teammates, then I really need you to take a look at your history. And if every match of your shows, if you go into every match and it shows your healers heal botting, not using abilities right, your DPS not killing people, your tank having no damage or damage mitigation, then you may be right. I'll give it to you. But I can guarantee you not a single person out there has stats where they are consistently carrying and still losing. So just accept that you may have some work to do, and that's okay.